So, like, what were some of your takeaways from this crazy weekend?
I mean, the biggest takeaway is this is basically playing like an open championship. I mean, we have two waves that, there was like a 3-shot differential between which wave you were playing. And that's the kind of stuff we generally see over in the British Isles, where the weather moves in like in 20-minute waves and it goes from beautiful to extremely bad. So that's just kind of the way it's been this week in Florida. It's just in crazy cold temperatures, obviously. And it's led to a lot of weird names up on the leaderboard. Now, you do have guys, like we saw Garnett up there. Anaban Lahiri is currently leading this event. But it also speaks to, guys like Shane Lowry, Fleetwood, my guy Usti. These are all really good Open Championship players, too. So when it gets high wind, when it gets, yucky and conditions aren't good, turn to the guys who have that Open Championship pedigree, man. I mean, we do say it a lot, but oftentimes these are the players who just are able to grind it out. They're used to playing in these conditions, and it is definitely playing out like an Open Championship right now.
Yeah, Reid, anything to add?
Yeah, Billy Horschel also withdrew before today's round because they cited some illness. And Siwoo Kim, he withdrew. Henrik Stenson withdrew. They just said, you know what? Screw this, right? We're not going to do better. And look at the weather. This was a clear advantage for the AM PM wave, to the point where it was unfair that anybody who started in the afternoon was essentially out. Doug Gim is, I think, the only guy with any sort of like in the top 5 that had the PM AM, which is a testament to how he's playing. Now, if you take a look at the leaderboard, like Geoff talked about, you see Sebastian Munoz, Doug Gim, Paul Casey, Louis Oosthuizen, a lot of these players that, either A, have that pedigree of playing in bad weather fairly well, or B, just got lucky. And all of these guys have mentioned it. Like the guys who came out in the PM, they had to play not only in the bad weather on Thursday, then they had to come out on Friday and play in extremely bad weather. Then they had to come out on Saturday morning or Friday afternoon, whatever it was. I can't even remember at this point, and play in like 30-mile-per-hour winds when now the rough is 5 inches thick and wet. Like it's like there was no way that these guys who started in the afternoon were going to have a chance. And furthermore, this is something I put out on Twitter, that if you made bets pre-tournament, pre-week, right, like the week before, this might be a time where you reflect and say, maybe I should wait, especially in Florida, the Florida swing, where you got to see how the weather really dictates these draws, because it is a clear advantage. 3 shots, I think, is the most I've ever seen doing this over the last 5 years.
Okay, guys, well, we also have a live Millionaire contest for this one. Here is the current leader, Brock Hesdalen. How do we feel about this lineup here? We got Jon Rahm, Zalatoris, Lowry, Burns, Casey, Muniz, and Paul Casey, by the way, 82 fantasy points, 6.9% ownership. Sebastian Muniz, only 2.7% owned. Reid, how do we like this?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of see, right? Rahm is like a lot of these guys, they got the early draw, if I can remember correctly, right? All of them were the AM PM. And I think the biggest distinction between this first place and the second place team, Jesse, is Daniel Berger and Will Zalatoris. And Berger was at 6 under heading into 17, and he put one in the water and he doubled that. And so he essentially lost his chance to win this golf tournament in that one shot. But then Zalatoris now is up and got that. So that's, I think, the big difference, because the rest of their lineup is completely the same. So it's coming down to Zalatoris and Daniel Berger. But yeah, this clearly is a AM PM stack, right? Or just AM stack. That's it.
Yeah, Geoff, what do we think about this lineup construction?
I mean, it's two things. It's the stack, obviously. I think when you were doing your GPP strategy this week, because of the crazy weather, a good idea was just to make like half your lineups in one stack, half the lineups in the other stack. Because no weather person, I don't care like if you're a meteorologist or you went to like weatherman school, was going to be able to predict how this was going to play out, just because of all the delays, right? So allocating like half to one wave, half to the other probably made a lot of sense. And you get high upside lineups like this because we had such a wave differential. Now, the other thing about this lineup is it's got 4 players at 8K or less. So speaks to how deep these major championship fields are. We've got guys like Burns, Casey, very, very quality players available for under 8K. And that Stars and Scrubs lineup construction working to perfection, because Jon Rahm, he's got 13 birdies. He's not playing that well. He's not high up there, but he's got just as many birdies as Shane Lowry, as Paul Casey, and Sam Burns. So, when you can get quality like Jon Rahm and then stack them with cheap players, most weeks it's going to work out.
All right, guys, third round just wrapped up. Hopefully the rest of the final round today. Lahiri is in the clubhouse at 9 under after the third round at the top of a crowded leaderboard. Obviously, live odds are still up on the DraftKings Sportsbook. But, Geoff, like anybody's odds, you like to have a nice final round and win?
So, I mean, I really like the way Sam Burns is playing right now. And, if I had to pick someone to win this event, it would probably be Sam Burns. He's a player who just, has a great all-around game. He's got some like really strong off the tee. And the main thing is he's just making all his 10-footers. And when he gets going on Bermuda, we saw it last year at the Valspar, he's going to sink everything. But it is the players, and we've got like a pretty crazy conditions. I think you can certainly go down to the guys at -6, and a guy like Russell Knox at +35 is very live. It's a player who's won. I mentioned, Open Championship conditions. He's from Scotland. He's won the Irish Open before. Ball striking wise, Russell Knox was coming in as like a top 5 player in strokes gained approach. I'm talking like up there with the JTs, the Justin Thomases, and the Morikawas of the world. That's how well he was striking it. So if his putter gets rolling too, I think he can make a move. But if you're asking me who's going to win this event right now, I think it is Sam Burns. I think all the guys at 6 and maybe even the guys at 5 are live. And if you're looking for a little bit of value to sprinkle, I would definitely start with Russell Knox.
Sam Burns currently +550 to win it all. Reid, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the guys at 5 back are just too far back. And I think Louis at like the 6 under Shane, and where Shane is, where Louis, I think that's where you have to make that line, right? If you're going to bet guys outright. Sam Burns looks like the best, right? Like Geoff mentioned, he made that last putt on 18 for his third round just like an hour ago. That was, outside of 10 feet. And that's what you need to do. You need to make your putts in Florida on these Bermuda greens. You see it all the time. How many missed putts inside 4 feet that these guys are not converting. And so that's probably the place where I want to go. Shane Lowry is someone that I'm really, really looking forward to watching on, Monday. I was going to say Sunday, but on the final round. But yeah, Sam Burns looks like that guy. But you take a look at the last 8-9 years, guys, that the furthest back someone was when they won coming into round 4 was 3 back. So the guys at 5, I think it's just too much. So give me Shane Lowry, Louis, if you want to make that a value bet. But yeah, Sam Burns looks best.
All right, well, let's
mark
look
the
at
tape, Jesse. Reid likes Usti. Reid likes Louis Oosthuizen. Just mark it.
Loves
a spade here, Geoff.
Usti +1600. The heart wants what it wants, Geoff. Looking ahead to this weekend, though, the Valspar Championship at Innisbrook Resort. So with the players extending late into Monday, like maybe even Tuesday if there's a playoff, we are going to see a lot of players skip it, right? So Sam Burns was the winner last year. What type of golfer are you looking at for this one? Like good putter or iron player, someone with a good course record, good recent form, Reid?
Yeah, I mean, this is another test of Florida golf at its finest. Another difficult track at Innisbrook, right? So you've seen Paul Casey win this in back-to-back years. It was, I believe, canceled due to COVID the year after. And then last year it was Sam Burns. And so you take a look at the past 3 winners, right? It's these guys who are really good with their irons. And you have to have a good putter. I know we keep on saying that, but especially in the Florida swing, you got to have someone who's not struggling or trying to find their putting, who's maybe had a shock week this week and was really good, but then usually is a bad putter. I think you need someone who's consistently good on these greens because it's going to be extremely hard again. And you have 16, 17, and 18, the snake pit. That's really, really hard finishing set of holes. So give me the guys that play well on tough tracks and who are really good putters. That's the one thing I'm going to be focusing on this week.
Geoff, Florida is just built different.
It definitely is, especially this week. This is a really the Valspar Copperhead course, the resort course. It's a really, really good venue for the PGA Tour. A lot of long iron approaches. There's some dog legs mixed in. So the par 4s all play a little bit longer than they kind of appear on the scorecard because there's tougher tee shots. You can't just smoke driver out there 350 yards on most holes. And it's just, I think it's going to be a kind of similar to what we're seeing this week. You're going to need players who are very strong tee to green. Everyone's going to miss some greens. Everyone's going to miss some fairways. You've got to be able to get those like long irons up in the air a little bit, hold some greens. And then when you do miss, you've got to be able to scramble a bit. And Reid mentioned the putting factor too. Yeah, you want guys who are in form and putting, but I would start with strokes gained tee to green and just go from there. And it sounds so simple, but if your player isn't kind of like hitting on all cylinders, I mean, they're going to struggle. And I think I would start also by when you're looking at approach emphasize a little bit more long irons, guys who are coming in, hitting close to proximity with, from 175 out, because again, just the way this course is built, it's also a little bit different in that it's got some longer par threes on it. And I believe there's 5 par threes on this course. So it's a little bit different setup too, but it just tests players from like throughout the bag. It's not just a wedge fest. You hit your driver, then your wedge. You've got to hit all the different kind of shots on this course. It's going to be good. And I think you're going to actually see a lot of people who play well this week go into next week and play well too.
I'm just excited for Geoff to say Russell Knox is going to win next week for like the 5th time.